One of the most powerful and influential speeches in history. He gave the speech on August 28, 1963, at the Lincoln Memorial, where over 200,000 people had gathered after the March on Washington. He spoke about the injustices of segregation and discrimination of African Americans that was taking place in our nation at the time. In his first statement, he said, "I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation." In this statement, he has said what he is there to do. He is speaking out for freedom. The speech is one among the few to demonstrate the freedom our nation was built upon. We are a nation of democracy, and our nation was built on the fact that we have the right to alter and institute the new government. Dr. Martin Luther King's speeches and demonstrations would provoke a change in the minds and the hearts of the American people. He stood up and inspired a nation into action with his words. With his speech, he masterfully used ethos, pathos, and logos in his rhetoric to provide proof to all Americans that racism and segregation is not the intended foundation of America. As he delivers his speech on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, he analogizes Lincoln in his speech. 50 years ago, a great American whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. His use of Lincoln brought authority into his speech. Lincoln was a powerful and great president who empowered the American people throughout the Civil War. He gained the trust of America and established a new sense of freedom. Martin Luther King Jr. is invoking the authority of Lincoln and his fellow views on civil rights. This is providing a strong ethos appeal and establishing credibility with his audience. He also references the Declaration of Independence to invoke authority in his case. He quotes unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. His use of this quote is to use a supreme authority as being on his side. He is stating that the American government has neglected obligation to all of the American people. He is setting up his own credibility by tapping into authority of a great American and our Constitution. His use of pathos is incredible as he strikes emotional values of both black and white. His use of the Bible causes an emotional response, and the glory of our Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. He is using the Bible to provide a belief and a faith in what he is saying is truth, and that all people will stand together. His use of metaphors throughout his speech keeps his audience engaged in his fight for freedom. He states, "And so even though we face difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream." He uses the American dream to appeal to all Americans. He is saying that the dream is part of the American dream, that we all deserve to have the freedom to dream. He also uses the appeal that he is a father and that he wants more for his children. "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character." This is allowing the listener to relate to him as a father and the aspirations we hold for our children. It provides a human appeal and uses pathos. He also uses logos in his analogies when he states, "America has given the Negro people a bad check, which has come back marked insufficient funds." His analogy is using logic as a form of reasoning. He reasons that everyone understands money and that the listener is able to relate to being handed a bad check. Martin Luther King's skillful and articulate use of rhetoric in his "I Have a Dream" speech was a major turning point in American history and represented a firm stand for equal rights. He spoke out to confront the issues of racism in our nation. This speech was not for the beginning or the ending, but a remarkable moment in the fight for equal rights of everyone. When all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing, "Free at last, free at last."